Hey, how are you guys doing? It's been a while since we've seen you. Professor Rhines in the elements. And this will be released on Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. Yeah, that's tax day, at least it used to be, but now that's all been extended because of the pandemic. So, hey, I'm here to go over some stuff with you today. But to make it a little more used to what you guys are typically seeing in the classroom, I'm gonna put something else on today. But before I do that, let me take off this jacket. We're talking fresh water today. If you see my t-shirt, we live in Illinois and we're not too far from Wisconsin, and those are Great Lakes states. You guys remember when I read Paddle to the Sea a couple weeks back, oh gosh, almost a month ago now, when we were getting ready for camp. We went over each of the Great Lakes. So on this t-shirt, of course, Illinois is down here, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. But we have Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario before it goes out through the St. Lawrence River to the Atlantic Ocean. So we're going to be talking fresh water. I figured that'd be appropriate t-shirt to wear. And of course, I'm alongside of a creek. I love being near moving water, and if you've noticed anything about my past videos, it's always near moving water. This one right here is Kinnickinnick Creek, actually. So it's a little tiny creek. Yeah, since it's Professor Rhines in the elements, I've been wearing button-up shirts here lately, but today we're going to break out the Professor Rhines lab coat. All right, get that buttoned up. That'll be great. We can get started. Oh, hey, how about that? That is really strange. Look what we have out here. Yeah, whiteboards. If only you could see how Mr. Rhines has to haul all this stuff out here, especially on today. It should be, well, it's sunny, but like 5 minutes ago it was snowing. Crazy. Now I got the sun reflecting off from it, but you just wait. In a couple minutes it'll be snowing again because we got some dark clouds coming. So I'll try to turn this in such a way you guys can see it. Let's just review. Can you see that? This is what we went over like 2 weeks ago. The land of water on Earth circle graph. And I rounded it off now, but basically water on Earth was about 70% and land was about 30%. 70 to 30%. We always have titles and we have labels to our circle graphs. And then last week we went over salt water to fresh water, and most of the water on Earth is salt water. I rounded it up again. It was like 97%, but I just rounded it to 98, and the fresh water was like 2.5%, but I just rounded it to 2%. So it's just a little tiny sliver. That sliver is what we're going to talk about today. That sliver we're going to make into a whole circle graph on its own. We're going to say all the fresh water, so it'll represent 100% here in just a second, but it's really a sliver of all the water on Earth. Most of the water on Earth being salt. We're just going to take that small sliver, and between today, tomorrow, we'll go over what that fresh water is. All right, so hey, now we got another one. Man, before long I'll have my whole stinking classroom dragged out here to the woods. It'll be crazy. All right, so as we start, see if I can get my fingers to move. It's cold, man. It's only like this morning I went running, it was 20 some degrees. So here's our standard. Standard is ESS 2-2, describing and graphing the amounts of salt water and fresh water in various reservoirs. Remember, reservoirs are anything that's holding water. To provide evidence, proof about the distribution, wherever it's spread out around the Earth. So this is from our next generation science standards, ESS 2-2. That's what we're going to be going over today. We already reviewed land, water, 70 and 30%, and the ratio of salt water to fresh water, which was 98 and 2%. So today we're going to look at this fresh water. You guys went over it today in your notes. Well, not today, it was yesterday, because I'm taping this the day before. So today, you guys went over these notes on Tuesday, April 14th, but when you watch this video, like I said, it'll be April 15th, but you went over these today. Mr. Rhines worked really hard to put those into smartboard file, and so we're gonna go over those. I had to warm up my markers, man. Even those were hardly working when I was trying to make these graphs out here today. All right, so let me grab these. Of course, we have to have a title, and so our title on this one is gonna be all the fresh water, like this water right behind me. All the fresh, we'll abbreviate it and say H2O. All the fresh water on Earth. That's our title. Now, out of all the fresh water on Earth, remember we've taken oceans out. Oceans are salt water. So this is just our fresh water. Let's see if we can use this redwood. We'll cut it in half, because from there it allows us to see 25, 50, 75%, something like that. So we know that polar ice caps and glaciers and snow, that takes up about 70 some odd percent. Well, that's 75, so we're gonna make it about right there. All right, all this will be our glaciers. What did I say? Polar ice caps and snow. It basically comes to around 70%. But you know what? We better be precise, because, man, we have to have it equal 100%. Circle graphs always equal 100%. So we're gonna say it's 69 and 524 thousandths of a percent. Okay, 524 thousandths of a percent. That's polar ice cap. That's stuff that's frozen. Fresh water that's frozen. Next, we have groundwater, aquifers, stuff that bubble up through the springs and fill creeks like the one right behind us, and lakes, bigger rivers, marshes, and that is around 30%. So if this is almost 70 and 30, you're like, that'll take up everything else. It will, except for a little tiny sliver. So I'll use that red marker again. And that little tiny sliver really amounts to piddly squat. But it's the real important part. That little bit is going to be really important. Okay, so this is going to represent groundwater. We'll see if we can get the blue marker to work. Okay, this is groundwater. And we said that groundwater was 30 and 1/10%. Of course, that could be 10 hundredths or 100,000%. They're all equivalent or equal. 30 and 1/10% is right here. Same as this was right here. So you're like, what is that going to be? This little bit right here. Funny you should ask that. And if you can see, I've got a little pie section over here. So this little sliver right here, it's so small, it's hard for me to split it up. It'd be like if you have brothers and sisters and you're all fighting over that last piece of pizza, and you keep cutting it smaller and smaller and smaller. After a while, you're like, geez, it's just like a sliver, and that's what we're left with here. So I'm gonna bring it over here to this, and now from here, we're gonna start splitting this sliver up. So out of all the fresh water on Earth, almost 70%, 69 and 524 thousandths of a percent is mostly frozen on our Earth. A lot of it we don't see, it's underwater. Occasionally parts of it bubble up, but this is what we bring up into our houses for those of us who have wells. It's almost 30%. And this little sliver, which is, almost, about 1% of it, We're gonna split this up into 5 sections if you saw that today, almost 2/3 of that. So about right here, this is gonna represent lakes. And then from here, each of these are gonna be split up almost evenly, but not quite. That last one doesn't get a whole lot. It's almost like this. All right. Whew. That is not very much at all. This right here, come on. This is lakes. And this isn't even 1%. This is 0.25, which is 25/100ths of a percent. And then each one of these, this one right here is moisture in the soil. So we'll call it soil moisture. That's like when you see dew on the grass in the morning and what helps plants to grow. That's not even 1%, it's 5/500ths of a percent. This right here is in the atmosphere. It's what makes the clouds and rain and snow. And this is 4/100ths of a percent, so this is atmosphere. That's air. This right here, this one is swamps and marshes. I'll just say swamps for right now. And that's 0.03, so 3/100ths of a percent. And this last little bit right here, this last little bit, probably a little hard to see because that sun came out again, but I'll bring it up there in just a second. That's things like what's right behind us, rivers and creeks. This is moving water. I'll just say rivers, but this is 0.006, 6/1000ths of a percent. So less, not 6%. It's less than 1. It's 6/1000ths. You take 1% and split it into 1,000 pieces. You're going to take 6 of those 1,000 pieces. 6/1000ths of a percent is rivers. All right. So this is all the fresh water. I'll bring it close. All right. Can you see that? All. My shadow's in the way. I'm telling you, man, this weather, it's hard to get it to work right for us. All right. Let's see. You guys are laughing at home like, how's this guy do it? Hey, I'm having to battle out here. Oh, that's not as bad. All right, so you can see in the red right there is our ice caps. In the blue up here is 30% groundwater in that little tiny sliver. Let's see if I can hold it. This little sliver right here, I brought it over here and enlarged it. And some of it is soil moisture. Some of it is lakes, right here. Lakes, soil moisture, atmosphere, swamps, and a little tiny sliver equaling rivers. Now, you saw in your notes yesterday, notes that look like this. Then when we took and added all that up, 6 and 524,000ths for glaciers and polar ice caps, groundwater, which was 30, and 1/10, lakes, which was 25/100ths of a percent, soil moisture, which was 5/100ths of a percent, atmosphere, which was 4/100ths of a percent, swamps, wetlands, marshes, 3/100ths of a percent, and our rivers, brooks, creeks, 6/1000ths of a percent. When we added those up, it equaled 100%. It does, it equals 100%. You should try it with a calculator. And then this is like what I just showed you right here. Hopefully it was a good video that you watched yesterday. And so between those things, we're looking at fresh water. The importance of fresh water. We know that very little of our fresh water is actually drinkable. You guys remember when Mr. Rhines ran for Team World Vision back in the fall for bringing healthy, clean water to communities that otherwise have to just rely on dirty water that creates sickness and diseases and hurts people. Kind of like what we're dealing with right now here, well, worldwide. But of course that isn't spread by water. It's by being close, and so we're still doing the social distancing thing. Hopefully you guys are staying safe. So fresh water, keep reviewing those notes, watching the videos. This will be awesome. when we can all get back together again. Until then, peace out. We love you, and we'll see you along the way. Bye-bye.